Hi guys, welcome back to Dadlicious Eats, and today I've got an absolutely delicious cheesy treat for you. So today we're going to be making an amazing baked camembert with tear and share monkey garlic bread. This is the perfect dish for sharing with your friends, for your family, and it's an absolute showstopper as a centerpiece to your table. Right, without further ado, let's get cooking. Right, so let's have a look at the ingredients. So to start with, we've got 400 grams of bread flour, 9 grams of salt, 15 grams of sugar, 50 milliliters of milk, 2 eggs, 100 milliliters of warm water, 7 grams of yeast, a tablespoon of garlic powder, 80 grams of unsalted butter, a couple of cloves of garlic, some rosemary, and finally some good quality camembert. Make sure it's one that comes with a wooden box. Right, so let's get cooking. So in a mixing bowl, pop in our flour, and we'll follow that up with the rest of the dry ingredients. So we've got the sugar there, we've got the salt, we've got the garlic powder, and we've got the yeast. We then need to take our rosemary, chop it up as fine as you can, and we're going to pop that in there as well. And we're going to give that a little mix around with a spoon. Just make sure it's evenly distributed. And then it's time to move on to the wet ingredients. So here we're going to add in, first of all, the milk, followed by the water, and then we're going to crack both of the eggs into here as well. Then all we need to do is bring it all together. I'm using a stand mixer for this. You can do it by hand if you want, but certainly it's easier doing it with a stand mixer. So we're going to bring that together just for a couple of minutes until everything pretty much makes a bit of a dough. If you're finding this video is giving you some value, please, it would really help me out if you were to like it or leave a comment below. I'd definitely get back to you. Or why not subscribe to the channel? I've got lots of new people joining every day, and I've got tons of recipes I want to share with you. So after a couple of minutes, we've got a nice sticky dough, nice sticky mess. So we're going to add our butter in. You do want to make sure that you've left this butter out of the fridge for probably 30 minutes or so, because you don't want hard butter going in there. It will just be more effort than you need. So finally we'll give that another 5 minutes in the mixer, or about 15 minutes by hand, until it looks something like this. So this is nice and elastic, it's nicely brought together, and what we need to do is leave it to rise, and we're going to leave that for about an hour, hour and a half, until it's roughly doubled in size. Cover it and place it somewhere warm and forget about it for a little while. So it's about 90 minutes later and the dough is looking like it's ready to go. There's a really strong smell of rosemary coming through, nice hint of garlic as well. So this is ready for us to shape the dough into the small dough balls. So pop it all out of the bowl. It's a little bit sticky at the moment, that's completely fine, don't worry about that. However, probably should have put some flour down, so I definitely recommend putting some flour down first instead of after, like I've done here. So we are going to be making about 20 dough balls here. So in order to do that, first of all we're going to just stretch this out into a little bit of a log, and it makes it a little bit easier to divide up into fairly symmetrical portions. So just roll it out, give it a little bit of a stretch. And the next thing we're going to do is start to break this up into 5 different pieces, because then if we've got 5 of them, then we only need to divide that further by another 4. So try and keep them fairly consistent. As I said before, still a little bit sticky, but that's fine. And there we go, we've got 5 portions there. Now we're going to further split these dough balls. So we've got 5 at the moment, so we want to make 20, so that means we're going to split each one into quarters. So split it in half and then split it in half again, and then we've got reasonably symmetrical pieces of dough. So we're just going to do that for all of the pieces here. So what we'll end up is 20 pieces of dough that are ready to pop onto a baking sheet. So once you've done that, bring out a baking sheet. Let's take our Camembert, and we're going to take the cheese out of the box for this at the moment. So again, you need to make sure this is wooden, because if this is plastic or anything else, it might melt. So we're going to take our dough balls here, and we're just going to pop them around the edge of the wooden box. And you want to leave a little bit of a space between all of them, because we're going to leave them to rise a little bit further, and then within the oven, when we cook it, it's going to rise even further. So if you put them too close together, then you're just going to end up with one massive mound of bread. And the key thing here is we want to make sure it's tearable and shareable. So once you've got one layer around the outside of the box, let's take the remainder of the dough balls, and we're just going to pop them around the edge again. So we're pretty much nearly there. Just make sure the spaces aren't too big between them. And then we're going to pop this away, put it in a warm place for another 30 to 45 minutes, just to leave it to rise again. So after about 30-40 minutes, the dough's looking good. It's ready to finalize this and get it into the oven. So let's take our Camembert, take it out of the wrapper. And what we're going to do is we're going to slice off the top layer, or the top crust of the Camembert. So just take a knife and just work your way around the edge of the Camembert. So by doing this, when the cheese is in the oven and it's starting to melt, it will just help it to go nice and gooey. It won't get stuck within that crust. So you're just freeing up the cheese inside. It's just going to come out a delicious, molten, melted, gooey, cheesy deliciousness. So that's looking good there. So once we've done that, we're going to pop the Camembert back into the box. So that should fit nicely back in. There we go. And then we're going to add a little bit of the rosemary. And as well as that, we're going to add a bit of garlic as well. I don't think I've been as excited to make a recipe or a dish as I have been for this one for ages. There's nothing better than being able to put a piece or a dish in front of your family or your friends, and just all being able to take a little bit of it, tear it off, dip it into the cheesy goodness, and just everyone just enjoys it. So after we've got a little bit of garlic in there as well, we're going to pop the lid back onto the Camembert. And then we're going to add a little bit more garlic into the top, as well as a couple more sprigs of rosemary as well. So just make an incision with the knife if you need to. And we're just going to add that in. Perfect. So we've got one final step before we pop it into the oven, so that's just a nice egg wash. So we're going to give this a nice glaze, and it will look even nicer when it comes out of the oven. So you're not going to use a whole egg for this, so keep aside the rest of the egg. You can use it for something later. As you can see from this recipe, it is a little bit of work to make it. It's I guess there are a few stages with the dough. It's not a particularly difficult recipe though, so I'd definitely recommend that you guys give it a try. So we're going to pop that into the oven at about 180 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. And it will come out looking something like this, where we've got beautiful golden dough balls, we've got gooey looking, delicious, piping hot cheese. We can't dig in quite yet, we've got one final step. So in the last couple of minutes of cooking, I just popped some grated garlic and some butter into the microwave just to make some garlic butter. So we're just going to pop that over the dough balls, just for that extra delicious garlicky taste. And then very finally, a little bit more chopped up rosemary. And that's it, we're pretty much done. So it's perfect, ready to serve up to our guests. Thank you for watching this video, really appreciate you spending your time watching it. Hope you found it value. Let me know how it goes. I'll be back with more great recipes soon. Until then, take care.